You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Welcome back to the Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as the name implies, all about jiu-jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith, and today's guest is a blue belt who trains at Rush MMA, located in Macon, Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Burton.
What's up, people? Thank you for having me on your podcast, Lamar. Appreciate it, man.
Man, the pleasure is all mine, man. I appreciate you taking some time out to talk about this thing we love so much.
Yep. It's always a pleasure, and I always love to talk about jiu-jitsu and tell my story. So, saw you were looking for guests, and I decided to reach out, and I'm glad you accepted, man. It's an honor.
I appreciate it, man. And like I said, the pleasure is all mine, man. But let's get this ball rolling, man. Let's not keep these people waiting. If you want to introduce yourself again, by all means, and let's hear your jiu-jitsu journey.
Sure. I'm Matt Burton. I was born with cerebral palsy, which is a neurological disorder that affects your muscles and the way you walk. But I've been training jiu-jitsu since I was about 17 years old. I'm 34 now. I train at Rush MMA in Macon, Georgia. I'm a blue belt because due to inconsistency, of course, but we'll get into that. But yeah, that's about me. That's about it. Like, the challenge of being a jiu-jitsu athlete with a disability is a lot of fun for me, and which is why I took the undertaking, because I like a challenge.
So how did you end up finding about jiu-jitsu? How'd you get like into training and stuff?
So it's kind of a wild story, but also boring at the same time.
I still want to hear it, man. It's a part of you, it's a part of your journey, man. So
right. So as I said, I have cerebral palsy, so with that comes several limitations within what you can do athletically and all that. But I've always been influenced by martial arts, martial arts movies, Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, all that stuff. Growing up as a 90s kid, I love the background, and I see it. But yeah, so and my dad was a huge martial arts fan. So, like, I was always influenced by it, and I never, I always wanted to do something athletic, like whether it was basketball, football, whatever. I fell in love with football, figured out I wasn't going to get an opportunity to do that. Fell in love with basketball, wasn't going to get an opportunity to do that. Can't dribble. Soccer, I was kind of cheating because I used to walk with cane, so it was like I had 2 extra legs. So one day, I cannot remember if this was during one of my surgeries or just at random. I was sitting at the house and ended up watching, like I said, I've been influenced by martial arts movies. So I saw on the TV there was The Ultimate Fighter. And here I am thinking it's a martial arts movie. So I start watching it, and I see these 2 dudes fighting in the cage, like, and they're fighting for an opportunity to compete in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, holy crap. I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. These guys are actually martial arts trained, and they're actually competing against each other. Like I said, I've always wanted to do something athletic, and I've always been competitive. So I believe it was a marathon that was on. It was like the first season, and it was a marathon that was on.
Nice.
I literally sat there and watched the entire thing for the rest of the day, and I was hooked. From that point on, I was hooked. So later on in life, go to high school. My high school, I'm from a small town, so my high school didn't have a wrestling team. I was a manager for our football team, and I was kind of like the hype man. So, like, because I always brought the energy, like, and I was always hyped up to be on the field. It was a lot of fun for me. But like after football season, I didn't have anything to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, always being competitive. I'm like, what's something I can compete in? Tried out for soccer, of course. Like I said, soccer wasn't gonna work. Football wasn't gonna work. Basketball wasn't gonna work. And I go, I wonder if I can get a wrestling team started. Uh, being from the town that I'm from, I figured it was going to be a big, long struggle to get the team going. So I gathered up a group of my friends and we started petitioning to have a wrestling team started. The way my school was set up, we had different lunch blocks. We had 4 different lunch blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And the morning that I passed out the petition forms, I started at like 7:45 that morning when I got to school. Handed a bunch to my friends, handed kept a bunch, went around to my classes. They went around to their classes. And by the first lunch block, we had almost 80 signatures, I think, or over 80 signatures, something like that.
Wow.
So by our first break, I go to our principal and I was like, "Hey, is it okay if we petition?" And she was like, "For what?" I was like, "I want to get a wrestling team started at school." She's like, "All you had to do was come and ask me because I want a wrestling team too."
Nice.
So lo and behold, we got the wrestling team started at the school.
That's dope.
So I got to wrestle. I got to wrestle my junior and senior year of high school. Lost all of my matches, unfortunately, because CP dude doesn't know how to wrestle. Never wrestled in his life. Was trial by fire, basically. So yeah. So after senior year comes around, and I'm like, all right, what do I do now? Somehow I fell off the Ultimate Fighter train. Forgot about it. I don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I'm sitting at home, and I throughout my high school junior year, I got back into it. So senior year, I'm deep in it. So I'm following it fully, right? And I go, I'm gonna do MMA.
Wow.
And I go, okay, let's see how this is gonna work. I'm like, wrestling was hard enough, but let's see how this is gonna work. And I'm not scared of a challenge. So I was like, let's see if we can figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
So I start training. I start training with a group of friends that I had on the wrestling team that were already into it and that were thinking about getting into it themselves. So we just put together a ragtag group of us and started training together. So informally, I've been training since I was 17.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's dope though, man.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, man. So then going from that, I found a guy, one of my friends that I kind of went through high school with. Got he he had moved and had recently come back, and so he was like telling me he started training and he wanted to bring it to Eastman to our town, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
cool. And I had started training with my guys, and so I'm like, yo, so let's get together, let's see what we can come up with. Few years go by, we form a gym, you know, training starts, we all go through our things. We start another gym, things happen, part ways, whatever. Start another gym, um, start training there, and I meet this guy through that friend that I was telling you about, who became basically my first coach. His name's Jason Jenkins. I'm forever indebted to that dude. He's one of my best friends. He's one of my favorite people in the whole world. He's one of the first people to look at me from a MMA standpoint and be like, all right, you can't do everything, but there are some things you're good at. Let's hone in on that. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I say I'm forever indebted to him, because man, he didn't look at me as, oh, why is he doing this? He looked at me like, let's see what you can do and capitalize on it.
Nice.
So trained with him forever. I still train with him when I can, whenever we can. But so I trained with him, got a bunch of things rolling. Signed up to do my first MMA fight. And like I said, I used to walk with crutches, but the matchmaker had told us before we had showed up the weigh-ins. He said if you show up with your crutches, they might not clear you to fight. So part of my training camp became learning to walk around town without my crutches.
Wow.
Walk consistently without my crutches. So I started doing it, and now I hardly ever use them now.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's wild. And I'm forever indebted to jujitsu and MMA for that, because I would have never done it without it. So, and for me, literally, jujitsu and MMA saved my life, because all of my doctors, and this is something we'll get into in a second, but all of my doctors had literally said if I wasn't doing it, I'd be worse off. I'd basically be confined to a wheelchair if I wasn't doing it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like I said, part of my training camp became learning to walk without my crutches. We get to the fight. I don't get cleared to fight for reasons that I still have not. I mean, the doctor wasn't. I'm assuming that the doctor wasn't really comfortable, because like we tried to explain it to him,
Mm-hmm.
but it is what it is. It I can understand. I understand the hesitation to allow somebody with CP to fight MMA. I really do. I get it. So
Yeah.
I'm not faulting them at all. I get it. But at the time, like I was mad at the world,
Yeah.
because like it was like, man, I worked so hard to prove that I can do this, and they're not letting me prove it. But I mean, now looking back on it now, I completely understand. So no fault to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I eventually do get one MMA fight. It was You can actually look it up on YouTube. Combat Night 152, me versus Daniel Nasco. But fight I get the fight done, and I'm like, cool, I want to do it again. After this is getting cleared by all my doctors, like I said, all of my doctors that I had to go see signed off on it, because they all said, like I said, if I wasn't doing it, I'd be worse off. Why not let you fight?
Wow.
Yeah. So they sign off on it. We get the fight done. And that's the only fight I've had. So years go by. I do one Naga tournament. I do a Copa tournament. And then I've done a new breed tournament. I did like two Copas, two Nagas, and I think two new breeds. I end up at a gym uh that I didn't feel like I was getting treated properly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not no fault to them, not knocking them at all, but so I ended up leaving, and I've known the people at Rush for years, because like small town MMA community where we're at, like everybody's kind of connected in some way, shape, fashion. Everybody knows everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
I've known the people at Rush for years. So one day I end up at Rush, and they all welcomed me, and they took the challenge of training with me, and accepted me into the team, and I've been there ever since. And it's got to have been what, 4 years now, something like that, 5 maybe, like training there off and
Mm-hmm.
on. But like, yeah, so my journey's been a fun, wild ride, man.
It sounds like it, dude.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I love those guys at Rush, man. It's a lot of fun. It's a big challenge, and like those guys, the cool thing about it is they take the adaptive part of being an adaptive athlete. They take it seriously, and they like the challenge of, all right, Matt can't do this way. What if he can do it this way?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have several different like sneaky little moves and stuff that we've adapted for me to use, especially submission techniques. The movement part of it is a little bit difficult because of how limited my hips are, but we work on that too. So shout out to the guys at Rush, Bubby, Q, Lathan, all the coaches up there, man. They love it. Josh, they're all great coaches, and I'm so grateful they were willing to take me on.
And man, that's nothing short of amazing, man. And it just further proves what I say when I like how jujitsu is for everybody, man. There's a special
Exactly.
place for everybody in jujitsu, and this is prime example of what that stands for.
Exactly. That's one of the things we say in the gym is like jujitsu is for everybody. And I've said I think everybody on the planet should learn jujitsu, not only for competition wise, but like just for self defense wise. Because like I've said, it literally saved my life. So I will always advocate for it, no matter who
Definitely,
you
man.
are.
Definitely. Yeah, I can contest, man. Jiu-jitsu has saved my life more than more ways than not, man. Where dealing with mental health and just dealing with everyday life, man. It gets rough, it gets hard, and sometimes it doesn't feel like it's going to let up. But once I hit those mats, man, I'm good.
Yep.
Like
It
I'm
all it all goes away. All the anxiety, all the frustration, all the depression, all that kind of slides away once you get. It may still be there once you first get on the mats, but by the time you're done, it's all gone, and you just feel completely refreshed. So I completely understand it.
yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about more. You said like being an adaptive athlete, kind of like if you want to kind of like break it down what that means and how that works for you.
Right. It's a. You want me to break it down from a like in general terms and then go into jujitsu
Yeah,
wise?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. So in general terms, you would think adaptive would mean a person with a disability that has a certain limitation, whether it be or a certain impairment, whether it be vision, spinal cord, you know, neurologically, all that, you know, general disabilities like that, especially physical,
Mm-hmm.
is what you, and then you take it to an adaptive athlete. You have people that have impairments, you know, well, you put it in back go back to general real quick. You have like amputation, you have people with amputations and stuff that would be considered um adaptive. But like you put it in athlete terms, you have people that have spinal cord injuries that compete in different things. Like you have the Paralympics for
Mm-hmm.
those type of people, and the other adaptive athletes that don't have like that have limited impairments and stuff like that. So to bring it into a jujitsu world, it's a whole nother ball game, man. Like me, like the guy I fought my first MMA fight against, we actually grappled against each other before we fought. And he has cerebral palsy just like I do. And even to break it down even further for an adaptive athlete, even within cerebral palsy, you have different limitations within that because some people have mild where it doesn't really affect them at all. Like it may affect their speech or a certain side of their body. You
Mm-hmm.
have, but then you have certain people that it affects like them entirely, where they don't have the ability to walk, so they're in wheelchairs, or they can't talk, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, so it's a very broad term, but also like you could break it down into several categories. But a lot of what you see in jujitsu, those are the two main ones that I've encountered is, and some you, I would say three actually. I would say you have neurological, which would be CP, Down syndrome, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then you have spinal cord injuries, so you have lower, upper, all that, and then you have amputations,
Right.
whether it be arm, both legs, stuff like that. And then I'm sure there's even more out there, but like those are the main ones that I've encountered throughout my career.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing, man.
yeah, it's really cool to see, like, and that's one of the things that I want to do within my jujitsu journey is open up the Actually, I started my own podcast talking about jujitsu within or combat sports within adaptive athletes.
Mm-hmm.
People that are adaptive athletes within combat sports, because I want to bring more awareness to that, to the adaptive athletes within combat sports, whether it's kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, MMA, wrestling, whatever. Because there are several of us out there throughout the world, not just where I am, or just in the United States at all. There's several within, like, throughout the world. So like I want to be able to bring that community together and show the world we are capable, and like we are athletes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you exactly right, man. I feel like if you have the heart and drive to get out there and want to learn something, man, there's should be no one telling you that you can't.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It's funny you mentioned that, because the the first grappling match I got to compete in was at an MMA event. Well, besides the tournament, the first, like, quote unquote super fight match I did
Mm-hmm.
was between me and Daniel at one of our local MMA events, because one of my teammates, who is my brother, like, he, for all intents and purposes, he is my brother, like, and we've been training together since high school.
Mm-hmm.
So he was on the card, and I was like, I wonder if I could grapple on that card, because I know they're not gonna let me fight, because I had this whole thing, I went through this whole thing with the Georgia Commission about letting me fight. So, but I was like, I wonder if they'll let me grapple. So I reached out to the matchmaker, and I was like, look, I know, like, I know it sounds crazy what I'm asking, but I'm making the same conscious decision that everybody else that's stepping into that cage is making. Like, all I'm asking for is the opportunity. It's
Mm-hmm.
just one opportunity. I'm so blessed and thankful that they gave it to me, and I got to compete for them twice.
Nice, man.
Yeah, so, but
So,
that's been my entire goal since I, like, once I haven't given up on the MMA thing, but once I accepted that it was going to be a longer fight than I wanted to put the time into, I said, let me focus on jujitsu, and let me try to build the adaptive jujitsu community and combat sports community, so we have something of our own, so we don't have to fight as hard to get these opportunities. Let me help to create these opportunities.
right. That's cool, man. That's really, really very ambitious, man. Because like, yeah, you don't want to feel like you're dealing with what you're dealing with, and you don't want that to be the reason why people are looking past you because that's the first thing they see.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
like you said, you are a very courageous person. You love the challenge. You want to get out there and do everything that you feel like you can. So who should stop you?
Right. Exactly.
You
That's
know, I
exactly how.
like you said, I like you were saying, I understand what the commission side of it, and they want to make sure that you're not doing anything that's too reckless, but at the same time, it's like, hey, if you feel like he can do it, like we say to anybody coming to school, he signed a waiver, so
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. He signed the waiver. He know what it is. Let's,
he know
like,
what he signed up for. He signed a waiver,
run it. Yep.
right?
Exactly.
We tell everybody that, dude. Like, hey, if
It's
you want to do something crazy, he signed a waiver.
it's so funny, because people be like, what if the people be like, what if you get hurt? It's like, y'all don't realize how much I fall on a daily basis. Like, this ain't nothing compared to that. Like, and I've had some bad falls. Most
Hmm.
of most of my serious injuries, except for like two, have come from me falling and not jujitsu. So like, I'm like, this ain't nothing. This is fun for me. Let me do this.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of my injuries are more so like things I've done off the mats.
Right. Right. It's funny
I
how
didn't.
that happens, right?
I didn't like. It was getting out my like. I was the day before my brown belt test. I was making sure I was getting. I was making sure I had my gym bag was ready, and I was sitting in my car.
Mm-hmm.
I turned to get out my car, and for some odd reason, my foot decided to just turn sideways. So I hopped out the car completely on my ankle, and I
Ow.
collapsed to the ground, and I'm just laying there. I'm
Mm,
more so like, oh, what did I do? Because it's throbbing.
right,
It's throbbing, and then it's starting to become numb. I'm just like, I
right.
don't even want to look. I'm not trying to
Yep,
move. I'm not trying to wiggle my
yep.
toes. I'm laying in the middle of my like front yard for like 10 minutes. Just
Oh
like,
man.
don't look down. Don't look
Yep,
down.
yep. Don't look at it. Don't look
Don't
at it.
look
If
at
you
it.
look
Don't
at it,
look
you're
at
gonna
it.
freak out. You're gonna freak out.
But luckily I didn't break down. It was a very, very small sprain. I got in the house, iced it, and it
Mm.
was fine by the next day. But geez, I was so scared. I
And
was so scared.
the whole time you're thinking, "Oh no, my brown belt test, my brown belt test, my brown."
Right. I'm not thinking about my ankle. I'm not thinking about
Right,
nothing. I'm like, oh, my test is tomorrow. My
right.
test is
Yep, yep.
tomorrow.
Like, oh man. Like, okay, so that's like me. Like I said, I've only had like two serious injuries come from jujitsu. One of them, I competed in a tournament and I herniated 3 discs in my neck. So that was a scary time because man, uh, we it got to a point where we thought I was having a stroke at one point.
Wow.
It was that bad. So my first tournament back, I did not get nervous until right before the thing started. And I
Yeah.
pull one of my training partners aside and I go, "Yo," he goes, "What?" I go, "I'm scared as hell right now." He goes, "Why?" I'm like, "Because man, what if I get hurt again?" Like all the he's like, "Bro, you've been doing this every like for the last 2 days, every week for the last like 3 months. You know what you're doing. Like, go out there and have fun." And I was like, "You right."
That's all
Calm
you can
myself
do,
down and
man.
had to get back out there. But it was, and then I ended up moving the best I've ever moved in a tournament. Like I didn't bring home any medals, but I was proud of the way my body like worked that day.
Mm-hmm.
And that just showed me like I'm doing something right. Like forget all the medals and stuff. That ain't what I'm worried about right now. Like I was proud of what my body was capable of, and that's what it's all about for me with the, you know, trying to bring the jujitsu community together with that. Like show what you are capable of. Let's show what we are capable of
Yeah.
because everybody thinks you can't. Let's show them we can.
Right. And that's the thing. That's the thing right there, man. To prove everybody wrong, man. All the naysayers, all the doubters, like, nope. I'm gonna get out here. I'm gonna show you what I can do. I'm gonna, prove all you guys wrong, and I'm gonna do it in such high fashion.
Right, right. And I hate to say prove the naysayers wrong, as cliche as it sounds, but I mean it's the truth.
Yeah,
It,
it's sad, but it's true.
yeah, exactly. It's just the nature of the beast, and I mean that's what you got to go out there and do. And every time you step on the mat, you showing the world what you're capable of, whether disability or not. Like you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. I
Yep.
so agree. So when it comes to you getting out there, you learning and whatnot, like starting with jujitsu, like, well, when you started jujitsu, like, what was your biggest obstacle when it came to you learning jujitsu at first?
Well, from a physical standpoint, the biggest argument physical obstacle was learning how to move my hips really.
Mm-hmm.
Because my hips are so tight and so limited as it is because of my CP. And I've learned how to use my body with my hips the way they are. So having to be able to open my hips and move my hips in ways I wasn't used to was a big challenge.
Mm-hmm.
For especially for like shrimping and guard, especially guard. it was really hard to get used to guard because I can't close my guard, but
Okay.
I can squeeze it. No, but I can't fully wrap my legs to close it fully, but I can squeeze. So that ends up being my closed guard. But there was a point when I first started when I couldn't even do that. I could I could
Okay.
barely have I could barely hold anybody between my guard because of how tight my hips were. Shrimping shrimping was a big challenge too. It still is, but I mean I'm finding my own modifications to shrimping just like I did with guard. So
Mm-hmm.
that those were the two physical biggest challenge. The mental ones were more proving people in every gym you go to, you have to prove yourself because people think, oh, we're gonna hurt this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally had to be like, look, when we're drilling stuff, I had to be like, go ahead, put more pressure down if you need to, squeeze it if you need, like if you got a submission on me, squeeze it, crank it a little bit if you need to. I will let you know when you hurt me. Trust me, I can take it.
I
So
signed the
there's that.
waiver.
Yeah, literally, like, bro, we're doing the same thing. Like, so it's the whole prove yourself thing all over again, and you have to do it multiple times. And that's one of the things I love about the gym where I'm at. Like, they know now, especially when we get to rolling. It's so funny when I roll with people, especially new people that haven't seen me, and they like we roll, and then like there's been several times where in the middle of a roll, somebody's going, "Damn, you're strong! Damn, you're strong!" Like, and I'm like, yeah, man. I tell everybody, man, I'm all grips, arms, and heart. That's it. Like, like I'm going to use it. I'm going to use what I got.
Right.
So like that was a mental challenge. Like I've had people tell me, I shouldn't be doing it and all. I've never. There's been a. I've had some friends that have had challenges with training, like people, certain facilities not letting them train. But I've been blessed never to have that. Pretty much every gym I've been to has said, "Yeah, come on, come train with us. We'll work with what you got."
Yeah.
But
That's me, man.
you do get into some situations where you know people have their own views, and it's just because they don't know any better, so they're like, shouldn't be doing it. Why are these guys competing? Some very derogatory. I've heard that some very derogatory things have been said to me and other about me and other adaptive athletes competing against each other. But
Man,
nobody's ever
that's so
brave enough to
unfortunate.
like say it to us.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
my response is, if you think that, you get in here and do it then.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
like okay, you think that, then fight me. Let me show you. But
Put up,
it,
put up or shut up.
exactly. But like I said, that's part of them not knowing any better, and that's why I want to build the community up to get it out there so that people will know.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
my nose was itching, but
No, you good.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. It's like that's what I want to do anyway.
Yeah, man, and you're on the right path, man. If you don't believe it or not, man, you are setting an example for someone in your shoes that's dealing with the same thing, that wants to, try something new but may be afraid. But once they hear your story, man, you're gonna get a lot of more people show up. I promise you.
I appreciate that, man. Like I said, that's the ultimate goal, and I'm actually working on something that's pretty big right now. I should have more news soon. I'm waiting for confirmation, and hopefully, when I do get confirmation, you'll have me back on and we can talk more about it.
Oh, definitely, man. Let me know ASAP, man. We can definitely set it back, set something back up and get that out there, man. Whatever I can do to help you spread your word, man. I'm with you,
I
100%.
I appreciate that, man, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, because I admire this sport, a lot. And, you know, like I tell everybody I talk to, this sport has done a lot for me, more than I can, even count on both our hands. And, whatever I can do to give back to jiu-jitsu, I'm going to do that. And,
Right.
the main thing I know how to do is talk crap. So I talk about jiu-jitsu all day. So it's
Yep.
like, if
Yep.
I can, I just put it out there. I don't say, oh, you have to be a certain belt rank. You have to be a certain this or certain that. Like, no, if you can come on here, if you want to talk about your journey, talk about jiu-jitsu, talk about whatever related to that, man, come on.
I appreciate it, man, and you're doing a great job, man. I see. I after you asked me, I had to check it out a little bit, man. 3 seasons, over 100 episodes. That's impressive, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's been a grind, man. It's been rough because at one point, I was in a couple other jujitsu groups like BJJ Fanatics and another group
Hmm.
where I was looking for podcast guests. And at first it was working fine, but then next thing you know, I was getting ready for the mid second season, and eventually third season, and I'm like, why can't I find the BJJ Fanatics group?
Mm.
So I'm searching, and I'm like, okay, did they just disappear? So I'm asking people that I've been in been on the podcast with, like, are you still in this group and blah blah blah. But
Hmm.
fast forward, they blocked me. They removed me
Oh
from the group and
man.
blocked me. I don't know if it was just because I was posting about the podcast, but I
Right.
was just sharing it. I would, anybody that I met in whatever groups, I shared it to said group. So I'm like,
Right.
you know, but it is what it is. But
Right.
I was able to find a couple more groups, and just gotta keep it moving, man. Just
Yep. That's what you got to do. Like, and that's the thing is like, no matter what you're doing, somebody's gonna try to knock you down a little bit, try to halt your goals and stuff. But like you say, you got to keep moving and keep pushing forward towards them.
yeah, man. From the hundreds of people I talk to, dude, it's like I can't give this up.
Yeah.
As much as it gets nerve wracking sometimes, trying to make sure that I got enough time to schedule people, and I get people got to cancel or I got to cancel. But all in all, man, I love it. I enjoy it. Um, and I'm gonna keep, as long as I'm doing jujitsu, I'm gonna be doing my podcast. So
Hey, keep it up, bro. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm learning that same thing because, like I said, I started my podcast a couple weeks ago. Actually, it
nice.
it originally was supposed to be a vlog series about my life
Mm-hmm.
as an adaptive athlete and trying to make it in jiu-jitsu and MMA. But, logistically it didn't work out because it ended up being me having to do everything by myself because the guys that were helping me ended up giving new jobs, so they like had to move and had new schedules. And they're two of my best friends, so of course I'm not going to stop them from their dreams. I was just like, we'll figure it out a different way. So after sitting on it for a while, I was like, you know what? I like talking to people. I was like, and I'm trying to build something for adaptive combat sports. Let me start talking to some of my friends that are adaptive athletes that do jujitsu and kickboxing and all, and do combat sports. And like, let me turn it into a podcast built around that.
Yeah.
So my first 2 episodes are out now. My third episode should be out sometime next week, or I should record it next week. I had a little personal issue to take care of, but now that that's under control, I'm gonna start recording next week again and hopefully build it up, get to where you at, man. I'm trying to be like you, trying to get me 100 episodes in.
Hey, man, you can do it, man. You can do it plus more, man. It's just all about the grind, dude. I just gotta just take that leap of faith, man. You already doing it, dude.
Yep,
Everything you doing is that leap of faith.
yep,
It's like, yeah, I got this quote unquote condition, but you don't see it, and obviously your training partners don't see that limitation. They just see someone who wants to get out there and learn, wants to get
yep,
out there and bump his head and keep it moving, man. And that's how I see you too. Like, if you would have never said like, oh, you got cerebral palsy, I'm like, all right,
Right.
slap bump, let's go. I don't
Right.
care.
Yep. The only thing I tell people is like, stay away from my feet. Don't ankle lock me. Cause like I'm like my legs are bad enough as it is. I'm not trying to rip knees too. Like no, I don't need that.
He said, I just learned to walk on these again. I need these. Don't.
Yeah, exactly. It's like people will start setting them up and I'll immediately tap because I'm like I ain't finna. Nope, I'm not risking that at all. You can have that. Take it. Like no. Like bruh, no.
Like no, nope. You got it. Tap. Let's
Yep,
roll.
yep,
Start
yep.
over.
Start over because I don't feel like I've been through enough surgeries and like I said, my my feet, I mean my legs are bad enough as it is. I ain't trying to pop knees. No, stay away from me. Like like I said, I'm all grips and heart. So attack my wrist. Go ahead. I mean, that's taking away one of my weapons. I get it. But my knees and my feet,
So you better attack me for the waist up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Everything else is fair game. Just leave my feet alone.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, hey. It is what it is, man. It is what it is.
Yep.
So what's the name of your podcast?
It's called the Saiyan Soldier Project Pod.
Okay.
Because my fight nickname is the Saiyan Soldier. I don't know if you know the implications of the Saiyan.
You don't see my
Hold
guy
on.
right here?
Hold on. Oh, okay. I did not notice that Vegeta back there. Okay, perfect. All right, so yeah, so my fight nickname is the Saiyan Soldier, and the reason why I picked that was because growing up, I have military parents. Both my mom and my dad were in the army.
Okay.
So both of them instilled in me, that military work ethic. You can do whatever you want to do, but you have to work really, really hard. Matter of fact, my dad was the one that pushed it verbally and through action. And my mom, that is the strongest woman I know. And I'll tell you right now, she's going through her own thing, but like she is the strongest woman I know, and she definitely showed me through action. But Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z is the first show that showed me everything that they was already telling me. You can work, you can do anything you want to through hard work and dedication and training. So I grew up with that and adopted it, and then the soldier part was to honor them because I have a deep respect for the military because of that, because of my parents, and I've had uncles and cousins that are all in the military, so I have a deep respect for it.
Nice.
Yeah, so I kind of adopted that nickname. Matter of fact, I've gotten to meet both Sean Schimmel, the voice of Goku, and Chris Sabat, the voice of Vegeta.
Yeah, I saw your profile picture. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that like Mr. Chris Sabat in the picture? Yeah.
Yeah, and I got to tell them both how much the show meant to me, and and why I am. It's part of the reason why I am the way I am, and they both were like, blown away by it. Especially Chris, man. Meeting him was incredible, especially because I basically waited 3 days to meet him. So when I finally got to meet him, it was dope. 2 days to meet him, and it was dope. It was one of the best experiences of my life, and I'm forever grateful for everything he did for me and said to me within that 10-15 minutes of meeting him. Man, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Schimmel too, man. Schimmel, he gave me a lot of encouragement too, and they both said they liked the fight nickname. So
The same soldier, that's dope. I do like that. I do like that.
I got approval from them, so I'm satisfied. Anybody comes for me, hey, like they approved of it, so I'm good in my eyes.
Goku and Vegeta approve of this. So
Right, exactly. Matter of fact, Sabat actually signed one of my things that I asked him to sign.
Dope.
Under the Saiyan Soldier.
Dope.
And I was
yeah,
like,
he, Chris Abbott he's definitely one of my favorite voice actors. Vegeta is by far my favorite anime character of all time.
Absolutely, mine
I'll
too.
send you a picture of because I got I know I got that one right there, but I got like other figures around my room of Vegeta. But
Dope.
yeah, from the figures I did this paint of Goku, and I'll actually grab it. Hold on, let me show you.
I can see it from back here. That's dope.
Let's move some stuff out the way. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I did this pretty dope painting of Goku and Master Roshi.
That is dope. That is dope, man. You
Yeah,
painted
man.
that?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, dude, that's awesome.
Thank you, man. This is one of my many pastime favorite hobbies, man. I love art and
Cool.
learning whatever I can. So
Yep,
with
yep.
jiu-jitsu, I get to combine both my love for learning and this beautiful art that took over our lives.
Yep. That's one thing I will say about jujitsu is like it allows you to be an athlete and also be a complete nerd
Yeah.
because I have a set of Batman Joker spats, the Killing Joke spats that
Nice.
and the rash guard that I absolutely love. And like there's a bunch of Dragon Ball stuff that I have that I train in. There's no better way to combine the two. Like it's my love of art, my love of athleticism, and my love of like geek shit. So like I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
like I love it.
Yeah, man. I even got a few tattoo designs that I want to do that I haven't got a chance to get just yet. Um, I'm not gonna spill it because I want to keep it under wraps right now.
Gotcha,
But
gotcha.
um, yeah, man. It's one thing I did I do love about jujitsu, like you said, is like it allows you to be yourself. And
Absolutely.
like the guys that I've trained with from my instructor on down, we are huge Star Wars fans.
Yeah, I love Star Wars as
So
well.
so we'll be in the middle of a roll going over like, technique, but at the same time we're talking, Star Wars or Rick and
Mm-hmm.
Morty or
Yep,
just the
yep,
most randomest stuff in the world though.
yep,
But
yep. Me between roles, I'm like talking to my teammates about, oh man, have you seen this anime? Have you seen Jujutsu Kaisen yet, bro? How do you feel about Demon Slayer, like, or or something Star Wars related? Like
mhm.
we got into a conversation one day at the gym, which came first, the Kamehameha or the Hadoken? Like you don't get that anywhere else.
No,
Like,
not at all. Not at all.
and then you
But
got people like doing martial arts, beating each other up, and then go back to the same conversation afterwards. Like you don't get that anywhere else,
yeah,
and that's why
man.
we love it.
I mean, where else can you go where you can go to a place, get beat up, talk about whatever you want to talk about, and go home?
Right, right, exactly. Let's talk about Star Wars. Let's talk about, like you said, Rick and Morty. Pretty much my entire friend group loves Rick and Morty, so like
Yeah,
we talk about
yeah,
it all the time. Multiverse theory, of course. We love comic books and all that. So like we're
yeah.
talking about it. I actually do another I have my own personal podcast, the Saiyan Soldier stuff, but I'm also on another podcast where we talk about nerd stuff. It's called Nerd Variety Podcast. We
Okay.
talk all things pop culture and nerd and geek culture. So
Man,
we might have to have you on as a guest with all your stuff back there. I see, man. We might have to do that one day.
man, I appreciate it, man. If you invite me, I definitely appreciate it, man. I love talking about whatever, man. If it's jujitsu, nerd culture, just silly stuff, man. I'm always down. Always down.
All right, cool. I'll talk to the rest of the team and see what they say. But I would love to have you on for that, especially. And then you're in Michigan, correct?
Yep. Yep. Detroit,
Cool,
Michigan.
cool. Maybe I'll have to make a trip out there and we can train together. I love.
Hey,
I, I'm all about expanding my training places.
me too, man.
I'm
I love cross training. We actually we met a guy through one of my jiu-jitsu groups. He has a school in Canton, Michigan, and he's one of our affiliates. So
Mhm.
we actually going out there tomorrow. We've been kind of going back and forth for the last couple weeks out there. So I love cross training, man.
I do too, man. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, it's always that thing of people don't know until they know. So people like, especially with me, people get like, oh man, how do I roll with this guy? And then once we start rolling, they're like, oh, he knows.
Right. Like, oh, I really gotta roll.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can't like not go all out, but I can't like go easy either.
Yeah, I don't give anybody the benefit of the doubt anymore.
Yep.
I had went to one school and a guy something was like wrong with his shoulder where he this is like as high as it can go.
Hmm.
So I always do the we slap bump like, hey, is there anything that's ailing you?
Right.
Whatever. So he's like, yeah, it's just my shoulder. So he has his arm like this, and I'm avoiding that arm like the plague. I'm
Right.
like, I don't want to, I want to be respectable and everything else.
Right.
But then he does this back take with
Hmm.
said arm. So he gets the back take and I get out or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, dude, I gotta ask you, what's your limitations on the arm?
Hmm.
He's like, oh, if you want to attack, you can go ahead, but it just can't go higher than here. I said, cool. So
Right.
so
Yep.
we end up,
Yep.
we end up turning up and really rolling for real because I didn't know, but
Right. Right.
he laid the ground rules. I was like, all right, bro, let's get it.
That's me too. It's like, look, go for whatever, and I'll just tell you, because I most of my limited movement is in my hips and my lower body, but like my shoulders are, my shoulders have been beat up from not only jujitsu but from me walking on them for so long,
Mm-hmm.
basically, essentially. So it's like my shoulders are really tight, but I'm also like, I also have a really high pain tolerance with my shoulders. And so, like, I'm like, go for whatever, but trust me, I'll let you know. So, like, people will pull arm bars on me, and I'm really hard to arm bar because my arms are so tight. And I'm just like, and I'll just sit there, and people be like, moving it around, and I'm just like, please give up on this, like, please. And then I'll pull my arms back in, and then they're like fighting to get my arms loose, and I'm like, nope. And then they get up, give up, and go to something else. And then when they finally get it, I'm like, okay, tap.
Bro, you're a
And then
walking cheat code.
and then they're like, dude, your arms are so freaking. I'm like, bro, it's years of having to essentially walk on them. That's what it is. I'm like,
Right.
I really want to get my shoulders like looked at because I'm pretty sure my joints are callous at this point. There's callus around my joints in my shoulders.
Yeah, gotta get that checked out, man. So you
Yeah,
can stay on the mats and be the monster that you are.
yeah. Well, that I'm trying to be anyway.
Oh no, you killing it, man. If you don't believe it or not, man, you killing it in my book.
I appreciate it, man. But like I say, there's always room for growth.
Oh yeah,
Always.
always room for growth. All right, Matt, man. We ask everybody that comes on the show. This became like it kind of became a staple of Talk Your Jits podcast. But past or present, man, who would you love to get a chance to roll with?
I said this on my podcast the other day. Jean-Jacques Machado is my number one.
Yeah.
Jean-Jacques Machado is my number one because he has his limitation with his hand.
Mm-hmm.
So like I want to know what adaptations he can come up with for me because he's had to do it for his own body. So I wonder if he can work with me and figure out some cool adaptations for me.
Yeah.
Um, you said three, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Jean Jacques is one. I don't know if you know who Whitney Miller is.
Nah, I can't say I do.
She is a former Miss USA, I think,
Mm-hmm.
but she also did like jujitsu, and she's a purple belt, I believe. But like, she's another one that my wrestling coach, who actually is a Japanese jiu-jitsu black belt as well, he was the one that put me on to her. He like showed me some of her highlights and was like, check her out, she's badass. So like, she's another one. And then probably my last one, my top one would probably be George Masvidal, just because I feel like he'd be so much fun to roll with.
Good old Jorge Masvidal. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually got to meet him
Nice.
at a UFC. I got to meet him and Yoel Romero, and we got to
Mm.
meet and take pictures and stuff, and it was really cool. It was a night after they fought. Um, Yoel pretty much carried that dude around the cage for 3 rounds,
Yeah,
and
I remember that fight.
I can't remember. It was a UFC Orlando the night Cowboy fought Barbosa.
Yep, the Edson Barbosa fight. Yep.
Yep, it was that fight.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was a good card, man.
It
Real good card.
it was a really good card, and I got to be there live, and it was an incredible experience. So after Yoel and Jorge fought, they came and they met me, and we took pictures and all. It was cool, but I feel like he'd be a fun role. I mentioned Uriah Faber because I want to learn that freaking guillotine, so he'd be
That's
my
my guy.
honorable. Yeah,
Yeah,
I want to roll with him to learn that guillotine for sure. But those would
solid
be my
list,
top
man.
3 and an honorable mention.
Yeah, that's a solid list, my brother. Solid list.
Yeah.
Well, all right, man. Unless you got any other questions for me, man, you want to let the people know where they can find you. You want to shout out your school, shout out anybody. The floor is all yours.
Cool. Yeah, definitely shout out to Rush MMA. I love you guys, man. Appreciate all the work we put in every time I'm there. Shout out to Nerd Variety Podcast. You can check us out on all major platforms: Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Um, Saiyan Soldier Project. Check me out on YouTube. Uh, my socials. My Instagram is Adaptive SSJ, and then the Saiyan Soldier Project. Instagram is SSJ Project 135. Y'all go check me out. Lamar, appreciate you having me on, man. It was a lot of fun. Definitely got to have another conversation,
Definitely,
especially
man.
nerd stuff.
Yeah, I got you, brother. Hey, just let me know, man. We can definitely set up something. I'll, come onto your podcast and talk shop with you guys too as well.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man.
All right, man. Well, that's the end of today's episode. I would love to thank Matt one more time for coming on the show and bless us with his jiu-jitsu knowledge. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you follow us all on our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube page to stay updated on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a great day.